Hi, everybody. This is part two for the Patina Project characters. In part one, we covered some of the major characters of the story, and in this one, we're going to cover some of the secondary characters, but still very pivotal to the story itself. So, without further delay, let's get right into it. So, the next character in this lineup is Ironsight. So, Ironsight is he is the character that saves the three children from death. Actually finds Colton, Viridia, and Lavian, and he saves them and mentors them. So Ironside is a mentor. So let's just go through his description very quickly. He is the one who saved the three children from death and mentors them. Ironside saves Maros or Lavian as a teen, so Maros Lavian is in debt to him. Maros and Lavian is getting very repetitive, so I'm just going to stick with Lavian for now. All right. So Ironside saves Lavian, and in return, Lavian is in debt to him. So Ironside can see Viridia's rage, he can see Colton's leadership, and he can see Lavian's imperfections. So he also saves three other children later in the story. And the reason that I kind of make it this way is because Ironside's supposed to be a mentor. He's supposed to be helping these kids survive on Mars. He helps the first three siblings, and then he helps three other kids who are sort of like mirror images of the others. So the three new kids are kind of mirrors of the three siblings in the beginning of the story. So he helps save a character named Prophet, a young child who was orphaned after the death of his mother, and along with two other children named Iris and Ashen Vex, who are former members of the Forgotten. So let's go through Ironside very quickly. So Ironside is an older man who has been working on Mars for years. So he's called a fetcher. And a fetcher is an individual whose duty is to fetch new settlers and orient them and help them figure out the ways of Mars. So this has been his job, and he actually got his job from Abba. So she gave him specific orders when he landed on Mars. This is what you have to do. So Ironside is very much a loner. He hates his role as kind of like this helper to society, right? He hates helping newcomers because they always have a certain attitude to them. Um and he just doesn't like his job, right? He's that type of guy who just gets up in the morning, grunts, and just gets through the day just to do it again over and over and over. So Ironsight, he knows Mars like the back of his hand, right? He spends all time traveling, going around, helping people. Um, he can travel great distances and he can see trouble from miles away. So Ironside is the man who finds Colton, Viridia, and Lavian on the crash landing pod. Ironside takes them under his wing and helps them adjust. So he's doing his job, right? He's just helping these kids, make sure they stay alive, and then eventually he's gonna leave them and let them do their thing. But in doing this, his heart softens, and his heart starts to soften because the children they just took an effect on him. But mostly, his heart starts to soften because there's a note on the pod when he gets there. So he arrives, he sees his note on the pod, and it says, "Last pod, no more coming." And his job as a fetcher is concluded, right? So his last act as a fetcher, is to help these three kids. Ironside is an older man again with wrinkly skin caused from exposure to the land and very soft, approachable presentation. So even though he doesn't like people, they always get approached. Like he always gets approached by people. People love talking to him, and he hates it. He just does not want people approaching him. Um, but others feel welcomed by his presence. Ironside was employed by Abba, as I said years ago, and is how he ended up on Mars. His aesthetic. So he's a traveler, so Ironside stares into distances with his red visor. peeking out from this large collar and shady hat that he has. Um, in the previous video, you can kind of see the ideas that I came up with when I started this story. So he's very much covered up, right? Large jacket, large hat. Um, he adorns the colors of steel in memory of Colton. And up until the story, well after Colton is gone, he continues to wear the sign of the Olympians on his arm. So not only is he, you know, this older person who is just wandering the land now, but he is very, very loyal to Colton. No one will ever take away the loyalty that he has for his friend. So Colton and Ironside eventually become very close friends, and Ironside is a follower of Colton, and Colton sees Ironside as his mentor. So, um, that's the story behind Ironside. The other characters that start to come into play are characters that are important to the story as well, but they kind of act as mirrors to our three siblings in the story. So the three siblings are the main characters, and these three other characters are side characters that kind of mirror them. So the first character is Prophet, and Prophet also has two names. Very big reason behind it, but his name is Riven. So I just came up with a name with the letter R because I wanted some attention. So that's the only reason that I named him Ribbon. But his name that he goes to all the time is Prophet. So Prophet is an adopted child who is orphaned as a kid. His mother is killed in a freak accident by a man with the purple eyes. That's all he knows about him. He doesn't understand who that person is, but he just remembers looking into his purple eyes as his mom was passing away. He adapts to Mars and learns to survive along with two other friends. So Iris Vex and Ashen Vex are siblings, and they were exiled by the Forgotten because of their physical appearances. So I'll get into that in a little bit. So Prophet's characteristics: born on the red planet, has never seen Earth. He doesn't even know that Earth is blue. He doesn't know there's like vast waters and he does nothing about Earth. Um, he was raised by a beggar woman. So again, beggars were kind of like just homeless who offered nothing to society or were having trouble adapting to Mars. And he was raised by her when his father gave him up as a newborn. So Prophet was given up as a newborn, given to this beggar woman who always wanted a kid, and she ends up raising him. So Prophet grew up as a sweet kid, but all the settlers on Mars knew that the mortality rate for kids is extremely high in Mars. So kids are not expected to survive that long just because of the demands of living on a new planet. But despite that, despite all the odds, he manages to survive. So Prophet was forced to adapt to Mars at the age of 7. That's the age that he was when his mom passed away. The beggar woman that considered him his mom died in a freak accident when they were getting water and rations from a local marketplace. So the idea behind Mars is that we have limited supplies and we have to ration and make sure that everybody gets something. And there's governing bodies that decide how much you get. And they all go to the marketplace to get that in the morning. So Prophet lived by doing inhumane acts. So from a very young age, he starts to create chaos. He doesn't care about other people. He is very much about survival. He ate scraps from other people. He slept under rubble. He stole anything he could. And later, his upbringing and survival skills make him into a mercenary. So, as a kid, he has to learn to adapt and survive. But then, little by little, he starts to become this cold hearted person. And that's exactly what the next line says. He has a cold and silent exterior. He helps Ashen and Iris when he found them in the desert because they were alone just like him. So normally he would just survive on his own, but when he saw these two kids just wandering and struggling to survive, he decided to help them. So every character has some sort of flaw to them, but eventually they start to learn and adjust, right? So Prophet's no exception. So Prophet is a young man with a dark complexion. He has a very dark but short curly hair with very distinct eyes. So his eyes are the color of patina and aged copper. So his distinct features are his eyes, and he also wears like a long earring on his right ear. So it's very important that I start setting distinctions about the characters. And I just noticed I haven't showed you pictures. So let me go ahead and go here. So this would be the model for Prophet. So dark complexion, long earring, short black curly hair, dark complexion. So Prophet is a very, very essential part to the story. I would argue that he is the second main character and possibly could even go to the main character and pass Lavian. So this is the kind of person that I'm trying to model him around. Um, I really just I like the style that this guy has with his hair and dark complexion, and the complexion comes into play later on. So finally, Prophet has a very vengeful personality. His sole purpose in life is to find the man with the purple eyes, the man who was responsible for his mom's death. So the important thing to learn here is that Prophet has one mission and one mission only, right? Think of him as like Sasuke from Naruto. I can't believe I just made an anime reference, but yes, Sasuke from Naruto, right? My mission is to find my brother and kill him because he killed my like that's his demeanor. Um I didn't describe his aesthetic yet, mainly because I haven't nailed it down. I really want him to be unique. So that's something that I'll have to revisit. And the next two characters are Eris Vex and Ashen Vex. So Eris and Ashen are siblings who were forced to leave their faction because of deformities with their skin. So here's a picture of what I'm thinking Eris is going to look like. So for Eris, it's very important that we don't actually see what's going on with her skin, which is why she was able to stay with the group for so long. So again, the Forgotten, they think they're like a cursed. They think that the two siblings who have these deformities in their skin are like the beggars. They're cursed. They're not good for the bloodline. They have to be gone from the Forgotten. Um, and the beggars are mainly people who suffer from radiation on Mars. So they have no sort of cover, no sort of protection from radiation, and which is why their physical appearances change. So Eris and Ashen, they unite with Prophet as kids and learn to survive by stealing. Um, and kids are known to die young on this planet, so they're dependent on each other. Eris and Ashen are siblings from the Forgotten faction, and the Forgotten are a group on Mars that kept their surnames. So they're the only faction that has last names when they arrive on Mars. And it's kind of a thing with like they're trying to preserve generations or something like that. Both Eris and Ashen are born on Mars. So all the young characters are born on Mars, and all the older characters are born on Earth. So Ashen Vex, he's actually 4 years old when he was abolished by the clan. So here's the model that I'm thinking about using for Ashen. He was abolished by the clan because he had deformities, but Ashen was just like any other kid. Um, but his family kept him hidden away because of his skin condition, right? They knew if the faction knows that he exists, they will kill him. So the Forgotten were known to kill anyone with deformations in order to preserve their bloodlines. Ashen was born different. He had a rare skin condition that caused discoloration in his skin, and Ashen had blotches of white marks throughout his skin. So immediately the clan would have never accepted him into their group. So his sister had them too, Iris, but she hid them with her clothing. So all Ashen ever wanted as a kid was to play with the other forgotten children, right? So he's just a normal kid. He wants to hang out with others and run around and have no cares in the world, right? To him, Mars is normal. It's home. He doesn't know anything else but Mars. And the day when he goes outside, when he's when he escapes his family's home and goes out there is the day, and I worded this a specific way for a reason, is the day that he was blessed with exile from the clan. So normally the clan will kill anyone and they will kill the young with deformations, but Ashen manages to live. So Iris was 7 years old when she was exiled from the clan. She refused to abandon her brother. So she refused to leave Ashen for dead and took him far away from the Forgotten. Iris was a super thin, malnourished kid. The Forgotten don't have much to eat. They're just this outside clan who refuses to join Colton, and she always gives her food to her brother. So Ashen, Ashen starts to grow more, right? Iris gives him food, helps him grow, wants him big and strong. She wants him to be able to survive on Mars and actually live. Um, and that's her whole mission, is to make sure that her brother, as annoying as he is, gets to live. So they left the comfort of the clan, comfort quotes, right? And her chunky sibling, and her left in search for a new home. So again, Ashen is a little kid. He's a little bit of a chunkers, and but he's also a light in the story. Um, In her teen years, Eris is a complex girl. She's caring and loving with some and angry and rage with others. She loves to help others, but when Prophet and Ashen are together, she can't stand how dumb and silly they are. So Prophet has a very soft spot for Ashen, mainly because he sees himself in this kid. And Eris is kind of living the burden of the middle child in a way, right? She's got these two guys that are always joking around, always up to something, and she's supposed to be the level-headed one. So Ashen is a hilarious 14-year-old at the time of the story. He's still a bit chunky since he hasn't quite stretched out yet. Um, and Ashen tries to be the positivity and see everything positive in his life, right? He has a dark background, but unlike many characters, he doesn't dwell on his past. He looks forward to the next day all the time. He loves to crack jokes, um, loves life, and he always appears in the weirdest ways. So throughout the story, I have like these little times when it's super serious, super quiet, and then Ashen just kind of appears, right? So he just this random kid. Like, it reminds me of Beans from Even Steven, right? So he's kind of like that. So Ashen's the definition of fine and kind. He loves his sister Iris to bits, and he sees Prophet as a big brother and a role model. And Prophet gladly accepts that when he's older. So Ashen's aesthetic is actually kind of established already. So Ashen is a collector of things. He loves finding and displaying and just having things, right? He never had anything in his life, so whenever he finds something, he keeps it. The voice covers his helmet in sort of like stickers, so he has his helmet very customizable. Very, he has like charms and stickers and all kinds of stuff on it. Don't ask me how stickers got on Mars. I haven't figured it out yet. So he's a typical child, right? He loves to collect. He loves to find things in the sand. He loves this smiley face sticker that he has, um, with tears running down its eyes. Ashen's a collector of all, and that might be a pivotal role in the story one day. So, to sum it all up, I just wanted to go through the characters so that you can see who they all are and really start to get a sense of this idea of who these people are. So the first character here was Redacted One. Just I found like some rich guy online, and I'm going to use this guy as my model. So Redacted One is the founder of the Patina Project. He's in charge of making sure that it gets funded and people could go to Mars. Abba is the mind behind the terraforming process and behind putting people on Mars. So her job is to get them from point A to point B and make sure that they survive. Redacted 2 is the one who inherited all the Redacted One's fortune. So he's kind of like the rich son, takes over once his dad is gone, and he's in charge of the Patina Project and his vision of what it should be like to live on Mars. Colton is the character who unifies Mars. He unifies the 7 factions to one society. He's kind of seen as the first king or ruler of Mars. Viridia, the middle child, is siblings with Colton and Lavian, but she's also the leader of the Forgotten. Lavian / Maros, because he has 2 names, is the future leader of Mars, but he's labeled as the ultimate traitor. So he's the reason that everything starts to spiral on Mars. Ironside is the mentor of the 3 main siblings, Colton, Viridia, and Lavian. And he's just kind of like this guy who works day to day and ends up stumbling into the role of being a mentor. So he is very protective of the children, but he's also kind of like that guy who doesn't really want anything to do with people. The other character is Craven, and Craven is actually Prophet's father. And his role in the story is that he refused to let his son die. So he made a pivotal decision to make sure that Prophet stayed alive and gave him to the beggar woman. The peasant woman, or the beggar, who is Prophet's adopted mother, that's all her role is. She helps Prophet survive, works together with Craven to make sure that he lives, and her role is important, but she is a minimal character in the story. Iris Vex, the sibling of Ashen Vex, is kind of like the older sister, and she's just one of the kids who was outcasted from the Forgotten group. Ashen Vex is the comedic relief of the story. He's the kid who was exiled from his clan with sister Iris. They are former Forgotten members, but now survive together with Prophet. A group that is not included in any of the images are the Forgotten, and they're kind of like the survivalist clan that lives on Mars. So they refuse to join kind of Colton and refuse to be governed by him, and they kind of just survive and have their own society by themselves. So I'm not going to talk too much about it, but there's also a major villain in the story, specifically for the novel. But then there is another character that is much larger than that villain, and that story comes into light at the end of the book. And finally, there's also a different character. So this guy's called the Olympian Leader, and he's somebody who was very, very involved with Colton, and he's one of his followers. So the Olympian Leader comes into play later on in the book. Before ending the video, I just want to say thanks for following me on this journey. I know we're really, really early on, but it really does mean a lot to have you guys watch the channel, watch these videos, get to learn these characters that I am creating for my story. If there's a character that you really like or a character that you really connect with, let me know in the comments. Give me some ideas. Tell me, who are you most excited to kind of see develop and see their story? If you enjoyed it, please just give me a quick like, and I hope to see you guys on the next one. See ya.